Okay, let's talk about how individuals make healthy lifestyle changes. One model that's used to understand it is the stages of change model. And this model is very good at describing where someone is on the pathway toward making healthy change. If you are in the pre-contemplation stage, that means that you haven't thought about it, you're not ready to think about it, you're not ready to do anything about it. You may be even oblivious to the problem you might have. Right? So in this case, you're not even, if you're a smoker, you're saying, I'm not even considering quitting smoking. I like smoking, I'm going to do it, nobody's going to convince me. So at that pre-contemplation stage, you are not ready to quit smoking, for example. You're not ready because you're not even thinking about it. At some point, however, you are going to have to acknowledge, hey, I've got a problem. And that's the first step. Once you acknowledge that you've got a problem, now you might start thinking about ways to do it. But at this point, you're just thinking about it. You're acknowledging you've got a problem, you're thinking about it, but you haven't really set any plans as far as what to do at this point. The next stage is the planning stage, preparation, determination. Now you're going to be starting to plan how you might try quitting. You might try, well, maybe should I try some nicotine patches? Should I try the Nicorette gum? Should I try quitting cold turkey? Should I try to just cut down for a while first and then try to quit? And you're thinking about what you need to do, your plan of action. At this point, you still haven't actually done anything, but you're making some headway in terms of thinking of making some concrete plans about how you're going to do it. The next step, of course, is the action, willpower. This is where you're going to commit to the plan and actually do it. So this is where you've got your intentions now. Remember, if we think about the theory of planned behavior and the theory of reason action, now you've got an intention to engage in the behavior, in this case quitting, and you want to now, so you've developed that intention now, and now you're actually going to do the behavior. You're actually going to start quitting. So that's the action point of view. You're actually going to start on your plan. And of course, this is going to take willpower. You've got to be able to do it and stick with it. Not easy to do. Finally, the maintenance stage is we want to be able to have long-term success with your healthy lifestyle change. Just doing it for a few months is not going to cut it. You've got to be able to quit long-term, and that's really going to have an impact on your health. Relapse, however, is something you want to avoid, but it's also something that you really have to expect relapse to occur. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that, all right, well, I'm making a commitment to lose weight. I'm going to go on this diet, and I am going to stick with it, and I'm going to lose weight. And maybe you lose weight, maybe it's 20 pounds. But then, something happens. Maybe you've had a stressful experience and you start eating, and now you're cheating on your diet, so to speak. Maybe you've even gained some weight back, and you've had a relapse. And oftentimes people think that a relapse means they've failed, and then they just kind of throw up their hands and just say, well, it's never going to work for me. Fact is, relapse is it's almost guaranteed. When you're trying to change your life and trying to change a habit, a long time habit, relapse is almost a guarantee. And what you have to try to do is try to rebound from that and get back on your path. So a good thing to recognize is that relapse is very common, and that it's part of the recovery process. It's part of the maintenance process, is being able to overcome the relapse, the times where you relapse, and be able to get back on track. Recognizing that relapse is always going to be, the possibility of relapse is always going to be there. So it's so in other words, yes, a relapse is a setback, but it's not a failure. It is something that you got to expect to happen on occasion, and you got to get back on the horse, and that's the idea. So again, so I guess the advice to have regarding making a big lifestyle change like this is, don't think of relapse as a tragedy and a disaster. Relapse is part of the recovery process, and you got to overcome those times where you do relapse. That's basically it. Okay, so what are some of the psychological factors that might be involved in helping us make those positive changes in our life, make us healthier? A lot of what we've talked about, we've already talked about before in previous chapters. Self-determination theory. Remember, there are three components for living a healthy life in this respect. You have three needs that we have: organismic needs, competence, relatedness, and autonomy. Competent, we want to be able to be effective at doing the things we want to do. Being able to make effective change in our life, for example, is competence. Relatedness, we want to have warm relations with other people, and we also want to have autonomy, which is kind of like essentially self-reliance, that you'd be able to depend on yourself to do what you need to do. Well, these factors are involved in self-motivation when it comes to doing things like losing weight or quitting smoking. And the sense of autonomy, that you have the self-reliance to go ahead and do what you need to do, and the sense that you have the competence, the ability to actually do those things, are two factors that are going to be very helpful for you if you want to be successful. So having that sense of autonomy, having the competence to enact it, these are going to help. This is going to help you. Incentive theory talks about two types of incentives, essentially, of intrinsic versus extrinsic rewards when it comes to being a motivation to do things. Basically, when we have extrinsic motivation, our motivations are for the kind of rewards that we get from other people, perhaps, or the avoiding punishment in some kind of way. That's extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is you're doing something because you really want to do it. It's for yourself. You enjoy it, and that's what's motivating you. The reason why many people who try to quit smoking or try to lose weight, why many of them fail, is because they may be focusing too much on the extrinsic motivation and not enough on intrinsic motivation. See, the thing is, smoking cigarettes for people who smoke is intrinsically rewarding. It feels good. They like it. Okay? You might want to quit smoking because you are afraid of what other people will think of you. You might be quitting smoking because other people don't like the way your clothes smell. You might be quitting smoking because they say it's unhealthy, and you don't want to be disappointing other people. Whatever it happens, those sound like extrinsic. Sounds like extrinsic motivation for quitting smoking. You're going to be a lot better off if you have an intrinsic buy-in. Essentially, if you really buy into it and really believe that it's for yourself, and you really want to do the healthy behavior, you really want to quit. If you are intrinsically motivated for it, you're going to be much more likely to be successful. Okay? So doing it for yourself, doing it because that is what you really, really want to do, that is going to be a better predictor of how successful you're going to be, rather than just focusing on rewards and punishments that other people are going to be giving you. Finally, implementation intentions are kind of a mindset that you have when it comes to doing what you need to do to successfully quit smoking or lose weight or whatever it is you want to do. You want to be thinking about and have intentions to engage in the actual behaviors that will lead you to quitting. So, in other words, having this plan of action and thinking about your plan and how you're going to put that plan into action. These are implementation intentions. You're not just generally thinking about, so like a goal intention, you're thinking about, well, I would like to quit smoking. I would like to lose weight. I would like to be thin. I would like to quit drinking. Whatever it is, you have these thoughts, these goals, but they're just the goals. You're not really, haven't really thought about how you're going to get to it. When you change those goal intentions to implementation intentions, where you're actually thinking about the steps you need to take in order to reach that goal, that's moving in the right direction. That's going to help you get to the goal that you want. So why do we do the things we shouldn't do? Why do we eat those tasty treats even though we know that they're not healthy, and we know that they're going to make us gain weight, and that we know that when we get on the scale in the morning or we look in the mirror, we're not going to be happy with ourselves after we're doing all those terrible things are going to happen after eating this ice cream sundae. So why do we still eat the ice cream sundae? Well, this goes back to the basic principles of learning, as well as motivation, reinforcement. If delayed reinforcement versus immediate reinforcement. Behavior that is reinforced will be repeated. If the reinforcement comes immediate, it's going to be a lot more powerful than reinforcement that comes later. So, when you eat the ice cream sundae, you're immediately reinforced. It tastes good right away, feels good right away. The reward circuits in your brain are lighting up like firecrackers. So, we know that it has an immediate impact on us that we enjoy. Now, the reinforcement that we would get from losing weight and getting on the scale and seeing that we've reached our goal weight, or looking in the mirror and seeing ourselves looking really good, these are really, really great rewards. Problem is, those rewards come much later, after a lot of hard work. So therefore, you have to wait a long time before you can earn those rewards when you when you're trying to do this stuff and you're trying to lose weight. So the immediate reinforcers win out over the delayed reinforcers more often than not, and as a result, you're going to have problems and you're going to have setbacks, and it's going to be hard for you to lose weight. Likewise, if you're a smoker, people smoke, they get enjoyment from smoking, they get stress relief from smoking. Since we all experience stress, smokers, when they experience stress, first thing they often do is reach for a cigarette. So, if you are trying to quit smoking and you encounter a stressful circumstance in your life, well, that's kind of part of life, you are immediately going to be thinking about grabbing a cigarette to make yourself feel better. Well, and if you do weaken and you grab yourself a cigarette, even though you knew you're going to quit, you're going to immediately feel better. You might feel guilty later on, but you're going to immediately feel better. So, obviously, it's much more powerful to get that immediate reinforcement than later. So that's the key here, is you got to be able to forego the immediate reinforcement and wait and hold out for the later reinforcement that comes from successfully quitting smoking, successfully losing your weight, reaching your target weight. This is what you want to do.